What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Jeremy's Point of View. Here in this episode, we're going to be talking about episode 3 of The Last of Us. It was another fantastic episode. The series has been moving along at a great pace so far. This episode was a little bit different. It took us away from Joel and Ellie and really gave us this beautiful love story set within, this Last of Us universe. So before we dive into everything, please hit that like and subscribe button. Also, check out the description box below. You guys can find the Teespring store. You can also find today's sponsor, which is Arcadian. If you use my promo code, you will save some money on some of the fantastic products they have. Goat's milk soap, beard oils, bath bombs, body sprays, you name it. Check out the link and check out everything in the description box. Now let's go ahead and dive into today's video. Alright, so episode 3 of The Last of Us. This episode really moved me, and I honestly think this is one of the best episodes of television, movies, just anything that really has come out in the last year. Now, I know we're in 2023 now, brand new year, but this is really better than most things I think I saw in 2022. This is some of the best TV, and I know for some, they may not like the changes that have been made as far as this particular character. This character Bill, played by Nick Offerman. Now first, let me dive into Nick Offerman. I love Nick Offerman from Parks and Recreations. I was a big fan of that show. If you've never seen him as Ron Swanson, you've missed out, because he is literally the reason why I watched Parks and Rec, was for Ron Swanson. And to see Nick Offerman, who's a bit more known as, I think, a comedic actor, play such a different role for him. He was absolutely fantastic in this episode. If it wasn't for him in this episode, he really, in general, the acting in this series has been fantastic, from Pedro Pascal to, everybody. Bella Ramsey's been great. Nick Offerman was fantastic. I can't remember, what is the name of the other guy? I don't want to not give him... Frank, played by Murray Bartlett. I thought that this episode was just, it was a beautiful love story. I know in the actual video game, the character of Bill is basically, when you meet him in the game, this friend of his, or whatever he was, Frank, was dead. And you find out Frank killed himself to get away from Bill, ultimately. So the take that the show has gone on, this different direction, it's drastically different. But I think, if anything, it just elevates the material. It elevates the series that we're watching. This episode was absolutely heartbreaking. We literally watched, in a 1-hour episode, a 20-year love story put together, and I thought it was beautifully directed, beautifully acted. Seeing this character of Bill, who was basically a prepper, one of these guys that prepared for the end of the world, and when everybody else left, he took over this little tiny town and put up fences and gates, and then one day this guy falls into one of his holes. He gets him out, he lets him come in for a dinner. One thing leads to another with them physically, and we're taken on this love story of what it would be like to be in this world of The Last of Us and be in a place where you can be safe and be safe with somebody else and find your purpose in somebody else. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to let you guys know, spoilers, at the end of the episode, Bill and Frank, they take their lives together. It's kind of beautifully romantic in a way. We see that Frank is suffering from some sort of illness that is debilitating his ability to walk, his ability to paint, his ability to use his arms, legs, function normally. And as they've both grown old over this episode, Frank decides, this is going to be my last day. I want you to put these pills in my wine, and I want you to hold me when we go to bed that night. And at the end of it, Bill drinks the wine with it in it as well and says, you were my purpose. I found my purpose. I had no purpose before you. You were my purpose. I'm perfectly happy with where both of our lives have ended up. Let's go to bed. That's the end of it. And it was a beautiful episode. I can't say that enough. I also really enjoyed, when Joel and Ellie got to the compound, got to his house, There was a note left there for him. And my favorite shot to end the episode, you know, having that shot where they said in the note, you know, we left the window open so the house won't smell. And we get this panning shot that goes into the window and shows us an angle from the window, but it doesn't show us their bodies in the room. And I felt like that was perfectly played, not showing us them in this dead, decomposed state, letting us as the viewer see them for what they were, as two people that came together, that were happy, in love, died together, and in their last moments we saw them happy. We saw them at peace with their lives and where they were heading next, and that they were going to do it together. And I thought it was just a beautiful thing not to show us anything more than just the window being left open. And I mean, I can't stress anymore, Nick Offerman was fantastic. Everybody in this episode was fantastic. And I know that this is a difference from the video game, but I really do think it elevated the characters. I know it, you know, technically changes the story a little bit, but as far as the overall arching narrative of the story, Joel and Ellie, I think, are going to continue on from here. And this gives me a lot of high hopes for where this show can go. The writing has been fantastic thus far. The show has been moving along very, very well. I thought at first glance, seeing an episode that kind of took us away from the actual narrative, you know, the story of Joel and Ellie, the fact that they were going to dedicate an entire episode to this Bill character, I was a bit taken back by it. I was wondering, is it really worth it? Are you guys just stretching out this first season? Is it a worthwhile thing to do? And after seeing the episode, I can 100% say it was worthwhile. It was some of the best TV I have seen in the past year. For me, this show is right up there with House of the Dragon, and I honestly think this episode is one of the best, right up there with some of the performances we got from Paddy Considine on the House of the Dragon. I thought his performance in the House of the Dragon was unbelievable, and the man deserves the praise he has gotten. And I think Nick Offerman and everybody in this episode deserves the praise that they get for this. I think this episode was absolutely fantastic. So you guys, let me know what you think. What have you thought of The Last of Us thus far? Have you enjoyed episodes 1, 2, and 3? What did you ultimately think of episode 3? Did you like Bill and Frank's love story? Do you like the changes they made with these characters? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's start a discussion. And until next time, I'll see you guys on the next episode of Jeremy's Point of View. Until then, peace.
I won't let you bring me down, 'cause you're way too much for me to carry. It's too much for me to bury. So take your lying eyes and leave, 'cause you're way too much for me to carry. It's too much for me to bury. 'Cause you're way too much for me to carry.